introduced. We're going to have a ceremonial first pitch thrown out by Carl Malden, and the two pitchers are already warming up. It's going to be a 5-game winner tonight against a 25-game winner. Jim Catfish Hunter, the ace of the Oakland staff, goes for them, and for the Dodgers, they're going with experience and a fellow who has some impressive late-season performances, Al Downing. That's the setup. As most of you know, the series is tied 1 game all. And Monty Moore, I'd have to think that tonight, if the A's don't win with their ace, they're going to be in serious trouble in this World Series, the same way if the Dodgers had not won Sunday with their ace, Don Sutton.
I think that's true, Kurt, because the Dodgers, in essence, are going with their number 3 starter tonight, and if the A's can't beat him with their number 1 starter, then the Dodgers will come back with their number 2 man. It'll be tough.
Tony, what do you think?
Well, I think we're going to see a change in the complexion of the World Series. More runs are going to be scored, I think, starting with tonight. Hard to say with Hunter pitching, but I think there's going to be some bombs flying around today.
Hunter's been an excellent World Series pitcher. He's not lost. He's won 3 and lost none. Al Downing pitched in the World Series 10 years ago. In fact, you were a teammate of Al's in that 63-64 World Series, Tony.
3 years on the Yankee ball club, and he at one time was a very hard thrower with control problems. Now he's become a finesse pitcher. Changes up, a little bit of a curveball, and spots the fastball.
Tony, you said you think we'll see more scoring. We talked to the players. They agree with you later in the game, but they say the first 3 or 4 innings at twilight may be rough to see the ball here.
Well, Monty, we were out here for the workout yesterday, right at game time, which was scheduled for 5:30, and the sun was glaring in the center fielder's eyes and also glaring off the stand, that white concrete. It might not be as much of a factor now with a little bit later start.
The crowd out there will make a difference tonight, Kurt.
There the A's taking the field. By the way, it's a complete sellout. And we have seen a new sight here in Oakland, the new BART train. The transportation system here in the Bay Area has been pulling up beyond the center field bleachers, and hundreds of people have been pouring off that BART train. Monty Moore said in another year that could add 100,000 to the attendance here in the Oakland Coliseum. He's just a country boy, in his own words, from Hertford, North Carolina, Jim Catfish Hunter. Charlie Finley gave him the nickname Catfish. He's one of the very best in the major leagues. 3 years in a row he won 21 games. This year he won 25. He is a pressure pitcher, and even though he lost the opening game of the playoffs to the Baltimore Orioles, he usually does his best job when the A's have to win. When the money's on the line, Hunter is as good a one-game pitcher as you'll want in the major league. He is a deceiving pitcher. He doesn't strike out too many batters. And he looks hittable from the stands. You could grab the bat and run out there and hit him. But he has marvelous control, and if he is up high, he will be in trouble. He's a low ball pitcher, especially a fastball that he tries to pitch low and away to most of the hitters.
Kurt and Monty, I talked to A's pitching coach Wes Stock before the ball game about Catfish Hunter, and let's listen to his capsule report.
Well, his greatest asset is he has great control, and when he does have problems with his control, he starts swinging his leg instead of picking his legs up. When he starts swinging, he starts rushing too fast and causes him to drop his elbow, and this is when he gets his pitches high.
They talk about his dropping his elbow. The players refer to that as pushing the ball instead of actually throwing it.
Hunter's also a good hitter. The designated hitting rule doesn't go in the World Series. And the A's won't lose much with a bat with him hitting number 9. The first 3 Dodgers you're going to see up will be Dave Lopes, Bill Buckner, and Jim Wynn. Lopes, the second baseman, leading off. Buckner in left field. Wynn in center field. Steve Garvey's a cleanup man at first. Willie Crawford in right field, the only lineup change outside of the pitcher for today's game. Ferguson is the catcher. He replaces Yeager. Say is at third base, batting 7th. Bill Russell, the shortstop, hitting 8th, and Downing, the pitcher, batting 9th. And our first pitch of Game 3, and down goes Dave Lopes. Bubblegum and all. Incidentally, the baseball world of Joe Garagiola was not seen tonight because of the President's address. But Joe has a great show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. A world bubblegum blowing contest among Major League Baseball players. Lopes might be right in the running. Ball 2. Now Hunter's up high on the first 2 pitches. He was shelled out by Baltimore because he was up high. Lopes hit .266 during the regular season. And here's a drive into center field for a base hit. There goes Hunter's no-hitter. Lopes on first. Leadoff batter of the game. Bill Buckner is the next man up. Buckner's 2 out of 9. That's Lopes' first hit of this World Series. He's gone 0 for 9.
Monty, what kind of move Catfish Hunter to first base with these speedy runners?
Just very average. He depends basically on changing the time that he holds the ball. He'll set and make the runner come stop. He'll never let a runner get a running start on him, but as far as the quick turn and throw to first, he doesn't really have it.
Lopes, an outstanding base runner, stole 59 bases in the season. There's a fastball for a strike. Jim Gilliam is the coach with his hands on his knees. Gene Tennis is holding at first against Lopes. Drives him back. Bandles at third in the infield. Campaneris at shortstop. Green at second. Tennis playing first. The outfield is Rudy in left, North in center, Jackson in right. The catcher, Ray Fosse. Bando's playing tight at third against the left-handed batter, Buckner. Been playing him all series in that manner. Foul back. And Hunter's ahead of him, 2 strikes. That's Jim Hunter's wife. Very observing, I guess. Helen's her name. Like her husband, not too emotional. The 2-strike pitch, a high fly ball out into deep right. Jackson is backing up for it. Reggie has it. There's 1 down. Lopes plays it halfway. Jim Wynn, the toy cannon, coming up. He hit .271 in the regular season, smashed out 32 homers, knocked in over 100 runs. In the World Series, he's had 1 homer. He's 1 out of 7. Hunter's the kind of pitcher that after you bat against him, you say, I should have had a hit. You go up again, now you're 0 for 2. Now the third time up, you may be 0 for 3 against him. You keep going back to the dugout, said I should have hit him. Lopes at first, 1 down, top of the first inning. We're just underway here in Game 3. They're playing Wynn as a pull hitter to left field. Lopes is going. There's a high drive deep to left. That ball is a foul ball. Lopes running on the pitch had a good jump. Wynn hit it a long ways, but foul.
Early in the ball game, as we look at Davy Lopes, you'll see these Dodger base stealers, when they do not know a pitcher very well, take what they call the one-way lead. It's a Dodger trademark. They will get off the base a long ways with the intention of going back. Now, Lopes in this particular one has seen the Hunter move. The crossover step start for the good jump. But Jimmy Wynn jumped all over that hanging slider and pulled it foul. And they found out something else, that Green will cover when Wynn is at bat.
The 1-strike delivery. Breaking delivery. Had Jim Wynn badly fooled. No balls and 2 strikes. Catfish Hunter never pitched in the minor leagues. Signed his first pro contract in 1964. 2 strikes the count. Lopes is going. Blown away. He'll be in there. Stolen base. He had the jump and the pitch low and outside. Had to force Fosse out there and then raise up to make the throw.
Kurt, I've seen Lopes get better jumps than this, but couldn't have been a better pitch to steal on what looked like a breaking ball low and away as we watch Davy Lopes. Green covering once again.
getting to be more and more that you see the base stealers going a no ball, 2 strike count, Tony and Kurt. I know the A's runners, North and Campaneris, both do it a lot because they figured that pitch is going to be a waste pitch, as that one was right there.
And not only that, they're going when they're behind in games. Here's the attempt at pickoff. Getting back is Lopes. We've seen games this year in the game of the week, Monty, where they're behind 4 runs, 5 runs, and they're out stealing.
The A's scouting report on the Dodgers says that they will run at any time despite what the game condition or score might be.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Jim Wynn. Breaking pitch low to him, 2-2. The cleanup batter, Steve Garvey's on deck, and he's been the best Dodger hitter so far in this series. Lopes at second, 1 out, top of the first inning. Ooh, just missed inside. 3-2 count. Well, Charlie Finley may be a controversial man, but one thing he's not afraid. Many clubs are after. There he is in his green Carl Malden next to him, and his Bear Bryant hat, and his green jacket, signing something. He's going to call the president tonight and invite him to the World Series. To the high pop in the left field. Campaneris windmilling his arm, signaling he's got it, and he takes it. They're 2 down. A lot of big league clubs were after Jim Hunter when he was a senior in high school. His brother, in an accidental hunting accident, blew part of his foot off. And a lot of the clubs backed off. But not Finley. He went ahead and signed him for a big bonus and then sent him to the Mayo Clinic to have 32 shotgun pellets removed from his foot. Hunter told him, he said, look, you know, I may be damaged property. And Finley says, we're going with you all the way. It was a great investment. Steve Garvey has been red hot in recent games, 2 down. First pitch of the ball to him in his last 7 games in the playoffs, World Series, last game of the season. He's hit nearly 500. He is the leading hitter so far in this World Series with 4 hits and 9 times up. He's the only player with 4 hits. The last game of the playoffs when the Dodgers clinched the National League pennant with the Pirates, he had 2 homers. He is doing one thing that Dixie Walker's trying to get his teammates to do. A right-handed batter will go to right field. There goes Lopes. And in the third is Lopes trying to see if that was a foul ball. Lopes steals third, so he's stolen second and he's stolen third.
Pretty much of a surprise with 2 out where he was able to score on a base hit anyway. But they're trying to be a little more aggressive, it appears right now, Kurt. He goes on this pitch right now to Garvey. For some reason, Fosse may have thought it ticked his bat. I do not know why he didn't throw unless it got stuck in the webbing of his glove.
I was waiting for the sign from the home plate umpire, Doug Harvey, if it was a foul tip. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lopes at third, 2 down. First inning, no score. Garvey, a little pop out of the shallow center. North comes on for it and decides to retire. No runs for the Dodgers, 1 hit, no errors. They left 1. First half inning, no score. There's Frank Robinson, the new manager of the Cleveland Indians, with the general manager, Phil Segui. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Al Downing, 33 years old, won only 5 games this year, lost 6. He's lost twice in World Series competition. He pitched for the New York Yankees in the 63 and 64 World Series. He pitched in 10 games for Oakland in the first part of the 1970 season. He looked good in the last few games for the Dodgers. Bill North has been moved into the leadoff spot tonight, and it's a strike to him. North is not hitting. He's 0 for 6. He hasn't had the ball out of the infield in the World Series. And 0 for 19. He hasn't had a hit since the first game of the American League playoffs with Baltimore. It bluffs the bunt. The pitch of the ball, 1-1. The Dodgers have Buckner in left, Wynn in center, Crawford in right, Say at third, Russell at short, Lopes at second, Garvey the first baseman. Ferguson is catching tonight, and Downing the pitcher. 1-1 pitch. High and away. In his last 7 appearances, 3 starts, 4 relief jobs, Downing allowed only 3 earned runs. So that record, along with his experience, earns him the starting shot tonight. On the corner. Campaneris is on deck, and then Sal Bando. You just saw in the top of the first inning why opponents like to keep Lopes off the bases. It's the same way with North and Campaneris when the A's are at bat. 2-2 count to Bill North. Swinging at a high fastball. Well, now, Tony, you played behind Downing at shortstop and in the outfield. How does it compare now to 10 years ago?
A lot different. He was a hard thrower at one time. He would throw the fastballs high and wild at times. Now he's become a pitcher that changes speeds. You saw the last pitch to North. He turned it over. Almost looks like a screwball.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. And he struck him out. He took a little bit off. 1 down. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Bert Campaneris, who had 290 for the year, his highest average. Doug Harvey, the home plate umpire, and Don Denkinger, the first base umpire, having the conference. Andy Olson's the umpire at second, Ron Luciano at third. Tom Gorman umpiring the left field line of the National League. Bill Kunkel of the American League, the right field line. 6 umpires in the World Series. We have no score. There's 1 out, nobody on. The A's batting first inning. Ball 1 to Campaneris. Campaneris being played as a pull hitter to left. He's had 2 hits 6 times up in this series. And he chops it over the head of Say into left field. He'll go for 2. With his speed, he'll make it easy. Campaneris in. So he's had a hit now in every game so far. He's at second, 1 out. Sal Bando. The A's captain is up. A .243 hitter during the year, but he drove in 103 runs. In the World Series, no hits and 7 times up. He had 2 home runs in the playoffs against Baltimore.
Watch Campy at second. He may try the same thing that Lopes did in the first inning.
Pitch is outside. Campaneris stole 34 bases in the season. Charles Finley, the owner of the A's, is right now talking to the president, Gerald Ford, in Kansas City. And he's inviting him to come to the World Series. If President Ford accepts, Charlie O's going to raise his hand and give the signal.
How could the president turn down the world's greatest salesman?
He is a salesman. Don't think he's not. It's like with all that goes on with the A's, he has to be some kind of a salesman to keep them winning. I asked him about the Catfish Hunter argument going on now. He said, oh, we'll work it out. Jim thinks a lot of me and the A's. We'll work it all out. A 1-1 pitch. Slices it foul down the right field line. This is a difficult time of day to hit. You know what it is driving in the twilight. The lights are on. But batting in the twilight is rough. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Campaneris at second, 1 out. Lopes is shading second base against a right-handed batter. But Campaneris is not getting a huge lead. Rips away at the fastball. A ball and 2 strikes. Al Downing Born in Trenton, New Jersey, lives now in Santa Monica, California. He attended Muhlenberg College in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Rider College in Trenton. His 14th professional season. The on-deck batter, Reggie Jackson. Campaneris with his back to you, number 19. A let-up pitch, a squib foul. Turned it over. He's not only changing speeds, but he's turning the ball over to make it a screwball.
Kurt Bendo had a few base hits this year down the right field line, and Garvey's playing him fairly close over at first base, but there's a big hole between him and Lopes. Bendo hit quite a few balls over that way. He doesn't try to go to right, but just swinging late as he did on that ball right there, he'll hit that way with power.
Now we'll see what he does, Monty. A 1-ball, 2-strike count to Sal Bando. Another foul ball. Al Downing is called Gentleman Al. Very soft-spoken, pleasant.
Very relaxed also. In 1963, the first World Series game he ever appeared in, 15 minutes before game time, when he was to be warming up, he was asleep on the training table.
I was just going to say, don't tell me he was asleep on the training table.
Certainly was.
1-ball, 2 strikes. Ground ball stroked to shortstop Bill Russell. The throws in time. Campaneris was held at second or 2 down. Reggie Jackson stepping in, batting .289 for the season. And he's had 3 hits and 6 times up in the World Series. Reggie's in the paper every day with something. Yesterday, blasted a writer for what he thought was an unfair story in front of all the other writers. And we understand Commissioner Kuhn has warned Jackson not to do that anymore. 2 down, Campaneris at second. No score, last of the first inning. Paul, when you see Joe Ferguson wearing that number 13, the Dodgers are fortunate. They're blessed with 2 catchers, 2 young ones, Yeager and Ferguson. Most clubs have trouble enough finding 1 good one. So when Yeager catches, Ferguson can go play the outfield, as you saw him do so well in Los Angeles. Tonight they wanted a left-handed batter in against Catfish Hunter, so they play Willie Crawford's bat. And Ferguson moves in from right field to behind the plate.
Dodgers are moving Davy Lopes around a little bit. He was way over in the hole between first and second base, and Jackson really doesn't pull that many ground balls that way. If he hits a ground ball, many times it's right over the right edge of the pitcher's mound, and they've got a big hole right there right now.
He's been going to left field in this series, Monty. Hit his home run to left center. Then on a check swing, he dribbled a double into left field Sunday in Los Angeles. So Buckner straight away for him and left in the gap in the outfield to left center. 1 ball, no strikes. Tried to curve him, it's outside. 2-0. Jackson could hit a home run over any fence, left, center, or right. He has that much power.
I'm surprised Buckner's playing him that much toward the line. He hits a lot of balls to left center, doesn't he, Monty, and hard.
Yes, he does. They pitch him there.
Fouls it back. 2-1. He takes one of the hardest cuts in baseball. Sometimes he'll swing so hard he'll go down on his knees.
Reggie's wearing an Oakland A's World Series pin on his uniform, it looks like. Is that one right there on his...
Yeah.
Surely is.
Where his belt buckle would be.
That's what they pass out to all the press people here. 3-leaf shamrock.
2 balls, 1 strike. Right to the box. Easy play for Downing, and the A's are gone in the first inning. At the end of the first inning, we have no score. CHUB FEENEY, the president of the National League. National League headquarters are right here in San Francisco. FEENEY used to be the general manager of the San Francisco Giants. In the second inning, the Dodgers send up Willie Crawford, Joe Ferguson, and Ron Say. Crawford hit .295 this year. It's a strike to him. 11 homers, 61 RBIs. 1 for 1 in the World Series. Jim Hunter. There's a Jim Hunter pitch. The way he bites those corners. Inside, outside, keeping the ball down. Walks very few men. In fact, his control's his main asset. Notice how he's slowing away. On an 0-2 pitch, he didn't give him anything. He doesn't believe in wasting pitches. Big bounding ball hit to the right side. Dick Green with a flip to first. 1 out. Joe Ferguson had the 2-run homer on Sunday. He's 1 out of 6. Sparky Anderson, manager of the Cincinnati Reds, whose team gave the Dodgers a battle right down to the last week. Sparky knows the A's. He's played against them in the World Series year before last. No score, 2nd inning. Ferguson up. Either his slider, his hard curve, this really broke for him. 0-1. Foul back, look out. Ron Say is on deck.
Kurt, I want to ask Monty something about Hunter. You saw him in the last few years, and he has pitched a lot of innings. Has he shown signs late in ball games of tiring and losing a little velocity and control?
Not consistently, really, Tony. He's had some awfully strong 9th innings.
Now he goes 1 ball, 2 strikes to Joe Ferguson. He's won 105 games the last 5 years.
I'll say this, Kurt, if he gets into the 9th inning with very much trouble, Rollie Fingers is bailing out.
That's the slider that fooled Ferguson. First strikeout for Hunter. 2 down for the Dodgers in the 2nd.
This pitch is more like what he probably would call a slurve, halfway between a curve and a slider. That true slider he throws breaks 6 inches or so. That had a little more of a break, but he sure has good location on his pitches.
Ron Say, 1 hit, 6 times up in the series. Those are his seasonal averages. 2 down, nobody on, no score. It's our handheld camera that's moving around the Oakland Coliseum, or mausoleum as the A's players call it. There's a long fly ball to left. Not far enough, though. Holds up, and Joe Rudy puts it away. 3 up, 3 down. At the end of an inning and a half, it's 0-0. Sellout crowd tonight in the Oakland Coliseum. Joe Rudy, Gene Tennis, Ray Fosse. Joe Rudy's the leading hitter for the A's in the series. He's had 3 hits, 8 times up. Batted .293 on the regular season. 22 homers and just missed 100 RBIs. Al Downing gave up a hit the first inning, struck out 1, no walks. 3 right-handers in a row for the A's. Ball 1 to Joe Rudy.
As you look out at that outfield, I see Jimmy Wynn playing toward left center field, and Rudy Monty, most clubs play him toward right center field, don't they?
Yes, they do, and as a matter of fact, a little more made odd because the first pitch was outside, away from Joe.
And again, Downing misses outside. 2 balls and no strikes to Rudy. That's Tennis. He'll be up next.
Of course, may have something to do with Downing throwing a lot of change-ups. That may be his plan going into this game. Make Rudy pull the ball.
Now he's outside, 3-0. Bobby Winkles with a sign on a 3-0 count. Downing averaged 4 walks every 9 innings this season and averaged a little over 5 strikeouts every 9 innings. He doesn't have outstanding control. 3-0. Rudy was taking 3-1. Alvin Dark and Bobby Winkles. Manager to the third base coach, on to the batter. 3 balls and a strike. Rudy looking down. Rudy doesn't walk too much. Walked only 35 times during the year. The next man to do that walked a lot, Gene Tennis. Ground ball hit the shortstop, Russell. His throw is there, one down. Gene Tennis is in a slump.
Take a look at Bill Russell, a converted outfielder. Very graceful. He knows the speed of his base runners. Knew he had a little bit more time with Rudy running from the right side. And that sore arm or elbow he had didn't show on that throw. The ball took off.
Gene Tennis has had one hit in 6 times up in the series. Batted only .211 for the year, but hit 26 homers. And led the American League in walks. Not many hits, but he gets on. Charlie Pride, great Western singer who sang the national anthem. Charlie was on with us year before last at NBC. He was a former minor league baseball player. And he stepped in the batting cage tonight, grabbed Reggie Jackson's bat, and took his coat off, took a couple of swings, popped it up, and they ran him out of there. That's Ray Fosse on deck. 2 balls and no strikes to Gene Tennis. 3-0. Downing went 3-0 to Rudy. Now he's 3-0 to Tennis. And Tennis looks down for a hitter-take sign. One of his nicknames is Steamboat. Only his wife calls him that. They had him going. Gave him the green light and 3-0. 3-1 to Tennis.
Kurt, they don't give him many take signs. He takes enough on his own. He has a good eye, and they figure he's going to get fastballs only when he's behind, or when the pitcher's behind, so they just let him go.
His one hit in this series was on a fastball that he grounded to left field for a single at Dodger Stadium. He's had one hit in his last 25 times up. That was it. There's another foul. In fact, Bonnie, the A's haven't hit much the last month, have they?
No, as a matter of fact, Kurt, it's really been a pitching victory for the A's this year in the American League. The defense has been not quite as good as it has been in other years, and the offense this year has been really hurting. I don't know what the answer is, but they haven't scored much.
3-2 pitch. Tennis walked. He's a second base runner.
Might have noticed they gave Tennis breaking balls on 3-1, 3-2. Part of the reason is, as we look at John Brody, one of our football color analysts, but with the 3 hitters following Gene Tennis, all hitting 200 or less, Tennis doesn't get much good to hit, Monty.
That's one of the reasons he's walked a lot this year. People don't realize it. They say, why would you walk a guy hitting 211? But he can hurt you. He's hit 26 home runs, and he's shown in the World Series the last couple of years he can break a game open. And as you say, nobody behind him really hitting high.
Dodgers and the A's, no score. The A's batting the defending world champs in the last of the second. Ray Fosse has a ball. At first base, Gene Tennis, 1 down. They're playing Fosse to pull the left field. He had a neck operation, crushed vertebrae. It was kept very quiet. He got involved in that fight between Bill North and Reggie Jackson, trying to break it up. All he got out of it was some surgery and about too much of inactivity. There's a drive to right field. The runner was going. It's picked off by Willie Crawford, and scooting back to first base is Gene Tennis. Fosse lines to right, trying to hit behind the runner and get him over. 2 down, Tennis still at first. Dick Green is the next hitter. He's had no hits in 5 times up. Back to bottom of the A's batting order has not done much in recent weeks.
Kurt, adding to the fact that it hasn't done much is even in the American League where they have the designated hitter, the A's this year have not had a designated hitter at any time during the year who was hot or really hitting the ball well.
The A's are batting under 200 in postseason play. That pitch is a strike by Downing, a good pitch. 0-1. On deck is Jim Hunter. And for the A's pitchers, of course, a strange role to come up to bat. American League, they don't get the bat for the designated hitting rule. Gene Tennis at first, 2 down. No score. Downing's fastball. Tail over that outside corner. 0-2. There have been a lot of superb games pitched by men over the World Series competition that haven't been the aces of staffs. Downing could come in here tonight and do that job for the Dodgers. We'll see what happens. Oh, and to remember when Emke started, the surprise starter. Connie Mack has pitched a great ball game. In fact, broke the World Series strikeout record at a particular time, which has later been broken. Grabowski came on in a fantastic relief job in the '66 series for Baltimore, as the Orioles swept the Dodgers 4 games. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Down goes Dick Green. No runs, no hits, a man left. At the end of 2, it's no score. They've already announced the attendance as 49,347, which is a sellout. And for the Dodgers in the 3rd inning, Bill Russell, batting number 8, will lead it off. Downing, the pitcher, will follow. Then to the top of the order for Dave Lopes. Jim Hunter's allowed 1 hit. Lead-off single by Dave Lopes. It's a pop-up. Coming on for it is Tennis, the first baseman, but he gives way to Hunter, the pitcher. 1 down.
We're going to show you something that Hunter does. He pitches from the 3rd base side of that rubber, and he hits that outside corner pretty consistently with a fastball and slider, and it gives him just a little bit better angle on the right-handed hitters. The ball moving away from them just a slight degree, and he takes advantage of everything.
Al Downing, not much of a hitter. 1 out, nobody on. No score, 3rd inning. Hunter now has retired 7 in a row. That's a strike to Downing. There's ANITA Bryant, who will sing the national anthem tomorrow night. Lovely gal, makes her home in Florida. And a good fisherwoman, too.
A very good friend of Alvin Dark and his wife, Jackie. They're their guest while they're here this weekend.
2 strikes to Downing. Look at this outfield, how shallow they are. That's a ball. Look how shallow North is in center. And Jackson's almost playing second base. The 1-2 pitch. Downing just got a piece of it. Shakes Fosse up. 1 away, nobody on. The Dodgers batting in the 3rd, no score.
See that protective helmet as we look on this replay again that all these catches have gone to. Ow, that hurt.
One ball, 2 strikes to pitcher Al Downing. Right to the box. 2 down. Top of the order, and Dave Lopes. Lopes opened the game with a single. Stole 2nd, stole 3rd. He was left at 3rd when Garvey popped up the center. Talking to Dixie Walker, the Dodger batting coach. The Dodgers worked out. They worked out at 5 o'clock yesterday to simulate the lighting and the conditions they'll be playing under tonight. And Walker said if I could get this man to go to right field more, he's going to hit 270 and 280. And he's going to be on base more to steal more bases.
Maybe still likes the feeling of getting a pitch inside and pulling it deep to left field.
2 down, nobody on, no score, 3rd inning. Strike call. Charles Finley's telephone call to the president. He invited President Ford to come out tomorrow night or Thursday. President Ford's schedule will not allow it. We understand President Ford is looking at the World Series game right now, and he asked to get a rain check for next year. We hope to be at the World Series next year. The 1-1 pitch. Moved it outside. 2 balls and a strike to Lopes with 2 down, nobody on. Buckner's on deck.
Get a real education from this shot right here. What makes Hunter successful? He is always near that target.
Low that time, but not too much. He's never very far out of the strike zone. He just nibbles away at you. A little something in every pitch, and usually right about where he wants it. 3-1 pitch. High walks Lopes. And that's the man he didn't want to walk. With 2 down. Lopes is on first. Remember, he stole twice his first time up. Buckner, a left-handed batter, will step in. Buckner flied to right. He's 2 out of 10. He is a hard out. He makes contact. He hit 300 in the minors. He hits 300 in the majors. He just gets a piece of the ball most of the time. Lopes also stole 3 bases in the National League playoffs. It's probably the heir apparent to Lou Brock as the base-stealing king of the National League.
Look at what a great year Lopes had and how many he stole, and consider he had a great year, and then look what Brock did.
Remarkable achievement by Brock at his age, 35. I think that's one of the great records of all time in sports. 35-year-old man to do what he did. 2 down, Lopes at first, no score. That slash to first baseman Tennant. A fair ball, he steps on the bag. And the Dodgers are gone. No runs, no hits. They left one at the end of 2 1/2, no score. Jim Hunter receiving an ovation as he stands in. One of the better hitting pitchers in baseball when he gets to hit. He hasn't hit the last 2 years. Downing's first pitch, the strike. He did not bat in 74. He had only 1 regular time at bat in 73, got a double. He had a .227 lifetime batting average and 6 lifetime homers. One season, 3 years ago, he was paid a $5,000 bonus for his hitting. He was such a good hitting pitcher. Hunter, North, and Campaneris. The A's batting in the last of the 3rd. There's a foul fly that'll be headed toward the seat. Out of play.
A lot more room here, as you can tell by the long run Garvey had. Then down in Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles, where they put in some seats down on the field, some extra boxes. An advantage, of course, for that pitcher.
Yeah, I was wondering when the president told Charlie Finley that he'd be at the World Series next year. Finley said, well, he didn't know if the A's would be in the World Series. And Ford replied that he felt the A's would be in the World Series next year. He's calling things a year ahead. Fastball, and Hunter is back to the dugout. Strikeout number 3 for Al Downing.
Russell has a habit that may be a tip-off, as we see now. The signal was given for a breaking ball or changeup. You can see him going to his right because the pitcher or the hitter's more likely to pull it. If he does that too soon, some of these right-handed hitters are going to catch on, start looking breaking ball.
Bill North struck out his first time. We're at the top of the Oakland batting order. 3 strikeouts, 1 walk for Downing. He's allowed 1 hit. That was to Campaneris, who doubled in the first inning. And a high foul, right field way out of play. 0-1 to Bill North. Really, we haven't had a lot of excitement on the field. The pitching is dominated. It's come in spurts. They'll go quietly 3 or 4 innings, and suddenly it'll be a flurry. Both games, 1-run games, had exciting 9th innings. The Dodgers threatening to pull out the first game, and the A's threatening to pull out the second game of the 9th inning. North bluffing a bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Garvey's in tight at first. Sale being in the grass at third against North, who can fly down that line. And there's a ground ball by the drawn-in Say in the left field. Bill North's on. He led the American League in stolen bases with 54. Now we'll see if he goes to work.
Kurt, the A's players were talking, wondering if Ferguson had as good an arm from behind the plate as he had from right field.
Well, according to Tommy Lasorda, the Dodger coach, nobody in baseball has the arm that Steve Yeager had. That's his claim. Well, Ferguson has a good arm, but not as good as Yeager. Downing's move, driving North back. No score. Bill North at first. The A's batting here in the last of the 3rd. Playing Campaneris over to left. Campaneris is a very efficient bunter.
Downing, as you've seen in the last two throws, are not with an exceptional move to first base. Many times he'll kick his leg toward first and then come home. I think the Dodger pitchers, above all other staffs in baseball, because they've had so many great base stealers, know how to hold runners on.
Downing high with a fastball. 1-0 to Campaneris. Now the handheld camera looks at the runner. Crowd yelling, go, go in the background. Pitch is in for a strike. 1-1 to Bert Campaneris. Campy's wife is quite an artist. I've seen some of her paintings. They're very good. North is holding. 2 balls and a strike to Campaneris. We can go to right field. He might be playing a little game here with North now.
Another thing he does too, Kurt, he'll fake a bunt and bring that third baseman in and bounce the ball over his head once in a while in this situation.
He has the bat control. Hit for his highest average this year, 290. 2 balls and a strike. North at first. 1 out. There he goes. Ground ball. Side, dive. He comes up with it. His throw. There goes North on the third. Garvey held the ball. North wound up at third. Garvey held the ball. Didn't make a throw over there. North just rounded second and kept going. Save. Looked like he might have dived too soon. He came up with it and threw Campaneris out.
North was going on the 2-1 pitch. And now you'll see how alert a base runner is as he picks the ball up. He found it right then. As soon as he saw Say release that ball, watch this dive, and they're playing more aggressive baseball, I think, in this game than they have the prior 2 ball games. There's Bobby.
Base umpire calling the play. Sal Bando. Bando swings late. 0-1 to him. Bando grounded out his first time. Bill North at third, 2 down, no score. Last of the third.
Kurt Bando definitely took a shot to right that time. He shortened up on his swing a little bit. They're giving him the whole right side of the infield here.
Lopes has almost been back a second against him. Right fielder Crawford straight away and right. The big gap's in right center. North trying to come up the line outside. Look at that gap in right center. Tremendous gap between Jim Wynn, who's in left center, and Crawford playing straight away in right. The A's, for the first time, have had a base runner on third. Dave Lopes wound up at third base in the first inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pitch is just inside to Bando. 2-1 to him. North at third. Bando's usually at his best with men on. That's a strike. Pitch tailing away, just caught the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bill North at third. 2 away, Reggie Jackson on deck. Darkness starting to settle in now. 2-2 pitch. 3-2.
Find out how badly he wants to pitch to Bando here instead of Jackson on this pitch.
There's Reggie. North at third. 2 down, 3-2 count. North hasn't come up the line much the last 2 or 3 pitches. cleanup man, Reggie Jackson, will be the batter. Jackson tapped out to the pitcher his first time. North at third, Bando at first, 2 out. First time either team has had 2 base runners on in an inning. Playing Jackson the same way. Win a couple of steps in right center. Crawford deep it in the right field corner. Buckner straight away in left. The gap is in left center. They may have some stirring around in the Dodger bullpen. Jackson held up on the swing, and they appeal at first. At third, no swing. A ball, 1-0. Charlie Huff, a knuckleballer, is starting to warm up. And he's going to be joined by another pitcher. There's Huff.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer, the left-hander. 2-ball pitcher. 1 ball, no strike. North at third, Bando at first. 2-0 to Jackson. That's the lead runner. At North, there's Bando at first. The left-hander up, Garvey playing off the bag. Downing behind, 2-0. He's right in there with that one. Curveball. Jackson trying to jump on it. 2 balls and a strike.
Downing hasn't thrown many curveballs to the right-handed hitters, but with Jackson up, it takes away that little screwball from him, so he may feed him a few more.
2-1 pitch. 3-1. Downing now digging himself into some trouble. North at third, Bando at first, 2 down, no score. NBC hopes you're enjoying the 1974 World Series. 28th year in a row NBC has sent you the World Series. 3-1 pitch. And he taps it out in front of the plate. Ferguson bobbles the ball. In the score is North. Joe Ferguson bobbled a high hopper. And the A's take the lead 1-0. At second base is Bando. Jackson's at first.
Downing gives way, as you'll see, to Joe Ferguson. Came a long way out. The ball hit right in the center of his glove. He may have been checking out of the corner of his eye. Jackson, what kind of jump he had. Here it is from another angle.
And Kurt, this play right here shows the importance of Billy North's great dash from first to third a minute ago. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been there.
And also, Monty and Kurt, it shows that Reggie Jackson seems to be running a little bit better. So now he may become a base-stealing threat for this ball club for the rest of this series. He got out of the box fast.
I thought he was running well in Los Angeles Sunday. Saw him round first, go to second in that double, and he was really moving. Rudy tries to plant it in right field and fouls it away. Rudy grounded out his first time. An error has been charged to Joe Ferguson, and the A's lead 1-0 in the last of the third. 2 down, runners on first and second.
Kurt, this is not to make an excuse for the catcher, Joe Ferguson, but remember, he has been playing the outfield this series and through the playoffs, and it's tough to change from position to position.
Good point, Tony. 4 balls and a strike to Joe Rudy. Bando at second. You see him with his lead. Jackson has a huge lead at first. Rudy drills it out to second base. Happens in the right center. Coming in to score is Bando. Jackson wheels in the third. Lopes went down for the ball and got underneath him. And the A's have a 2-0 lead.
Have a look and see if we can tell where that ball went. He broke the wrong way. He started breaking to his left. The ball bounced right over the top of his glove. That's the kind of ball you've got to try and smother if you can. Take your chances getting a force out at second.
They give him a base hit, Rudy, and an RBI. Jackson's at third. Rudy's at first. 2 out. Well, Downing could have been in the dugout. Both Both runs are unearned. 2 runs, 3 hits for the A's. No runs, 1 hit for the Dodgers. Gene Tennis walked his first time. The pitch is a bit high to him. One ball, no strikes. Same spot, 2-0 to Gene Tennis. Tennis has a great eye at the plate.
Dangerous to get behind him in a spot like this, Kurt. He's been a real good 2-out hitter this year for Oakland.
I've got to believe with Fosse coming up next that Downey's going to make him hit his pitch, even if it is 2-0. Can't give in to a guy like this, Tennis. He hurts you with a long ball.
Can't come in with that good fastball, and he does it. 3-0. The Reds remember Tennis in the World Series when he was voted the outstanding player 2 years ago. 3 balls, no strikes to Tennis. Brewer and Huff have been warming up in the Dodger bullpen. They're ready if needed. A 3-0 delivery. That's a strike to him, 3-1. Bobby Winkles, who started the season as manager of the California Angels, now coaching in the World Series for the A's. 3 balls and a strike. Bases are loaded. Ron Stay has been ordered to go over and talk to Downey. Walter Alston on his way out. Now stops, comes back again.
Sending Red Adams
pitching
out.
coach Red Adams out. Jim Hunter, the first man up, struck out. Then Bill Norris singled. Campaneris grounded out. North went to third on the play. Bando walked. Reggie Jackson hit a topper out in front of the plate. That was bobbled by the catcher Joe Ferguson for an error. North scoring. And Rudy singled up the middle. Bando scoring.
There's the bullpen, Huff and Brewer. And you wonder if the man on the left isn't what made Walter Alston hesitate and then change his mind. That knuckleball pitcher coming in, Huff to a right-hander with a man on third base.
Bases are loaded. Ray Fosse lined out to right field his first time. He is the 8th batter up this inning for the A's. They're ahead now 2-0. Downing has walked 3 so far. Jackson's at third. The lead man, that's hit to the box. Downing throws him out, and the A's are gone in the third, but they had 2 runs on 2 hits. There was 1 costly error, 3 left. Joe Rudy really received a tremendous ovation when he went out to left field. He may not be appreciated too much around the country, but here in the Bay Area, they know what a solid player he is. And as he went back to his position, they gave him a standing ovation on the left field bleachers. Jim Wynn, Steve Garvey, and Willie Crawford, the heart of the Dodger batting order, up in the 4th. The A's now have 2 runs, 3 hits, and no errors. The Dodgers, no run, 1 hit, and 1 error. Wynn popped to short his first time. Jim Hunter on the mound. Hunter's allowed 1 hit. That was the first man he faced in the game, Dave Lowe. There's a strike. Hunter led the American League qualifiers with the lowest earned run average this year. Of all to qualify, you have to pitch at least 162 innings. And the Catfish had the lowest earned run average. His best previous ranking was 3rd. It's his fastball. Primarily a fastball pitcher. Garvey's on deck. Pitches outside to win 2-2. He's had many baseball thrills, but he'll always remember the night he pitched a perfect game here in the Oakland Coliseum. Monty Moore broadcast that game. The 2-2 delivery. 3-2. That must have been quite a thrill of broadcast, Monty.
Yes, it was. It was against Minnesota here, Kurt. And an odd thing about that is he went to Minnesota and got his next start, gave up 9 runs in the first inning. They stayed in the ball game and won the game.
3-2 to Jim Wynn. Wynn hits the bounding ball, just tipped Hunter's glove. Green boots it, throws late. The tip off the pitcher's glove might have destroyed the timing of Green.
Exactly what it did, Kurt. He started to his right, a little deeper, and then he had to come in and got that in-between hop. Tried to smother it, but the ball gets too far out in front of him, and Jimmy Wynn runs well.
Jim Wynn at first. Now they've scored an error on Dick Green. So each team has been charged with an error. Jack Herman, the president of the Baseball Writers Association of the St. Louis Globe-Democrats, one of the scorers. Gordon Barrell of the Long Beach Independent, and Ron Bergman of the Oakland Tribune. 3 official scores for the series. A ball to Steve Garvey. He flied to center his first time.
Some of you may have heard the beginning of the show over the slow motion of Catfish Hunter. Wes Stock, the pitching coach, said, watch his knee. You can tell when he loses it and starts going high. And maybe Fosse picked up that flaw. He was swinging his leg instead of picking it up.
Jim Wynn stole 18 bases in the season. He's at first. Garvey trying to go to right. He's the one young player of the Dodgers, they say, that is going to right field with outside pitches and is learning to use that part of the field. 1-1 is what made him a good hitter. He's been a very consistent hitter all year. The longest hitless streak he had, 3 games. I wound up hitting over 300. He used to hit the towering drive. Now everything's a line drive. He slaps it down, the third base line just foul. He hits more line drive homers now than he does the lofty jobs. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Steve Garvey.
Field is in excellent condition. We walked the field yesterday during the workouts, and the grass is great. A better infielder with truer bounces than the one down at Chavez Ravine.
Not as pretty a ballpark. There's a pop foul back into the seats. This is a county facility. Here are the umpires. As we were late coming on the air, didn't have a chance to give it to you. Doug Harvey of the National League behind the plate. Don Denkinger in the American League at first. Andy Olson at second. Ron Luciano of the American League at third. Tom Gorman at the left field line. Bill Kunkel down the right field line. A 1-2 pitch. That's driven deep down the right field line, and that one's foul. 1-2 to Garvey. Well, our stage manager, Jim O'Gorman's got a pretty good crack. He says any ballpark is pretty when it's full. And that's right.
This ballpark, Kurt, is known as kind of a drab, as you said, mausoleum, but it only looks that way when there's nobody in it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner going. Hit and run on. It's in the left field. Wynn stopped at second. Rudy charged the ball. And now the Dodgers have a threat in the 4th. Wynn's at second. Garvey's at first. And Garvey's had his 5th hit.
Yeah, heard Monty Moore tell you, the scouting report of the Dodgers, they'll run any time, 2 runs down. And we also saw some exceptional bat control on the part of Steve Garvey. The ball was up and in. It was actually a ball, maybe a foot inside and high, but he still got the barrel of the bat on it. Look at Jimmy Wynn checking the outfield positioning.
Willie Crawford is up now with runners on first and second, nobody out. The Dodgers are trailing 2-0 in the 4th. Willie Crawford is one of the 3 Dodgers with previous World Series experience. He was 1 for 2 in the '65 World Series, appearing as the pinch hitter. Downing is the other Dodger with experience, and Jim Brewer, who's been in the Fall Classic. Line drive, throw to second, double play. Green could have gone to first. Either way, Crawford into a double play with Campaneris covering, and Wynn is doubled off second.
Here he goes, and Captain Campaneris was thinking triple play. Watch this.
He's ready to throw.
Garvey got back in time.
He was ready to throw right there. He was thinking 3 all the way.
So the Dodgers now have 2 down. Garvey's at first. He had a big jump on that line drive. Joe Ferguson struck out his first time. In the 4th inning, the A's are leading 2-0. The ball, that was really stung by Crawford, though. The hardest hit ball of the game. 1 ball, no strikes. Blowing inside, 2-0.
Ron Say on deck.
They're playing Ferguson deep and toward left. He pops it out of play. 2 balls and a strike to Ron Ferguson.
Even 2 balls and no strikes. Catfish has movement on the ball, and he's still around the corners. Pitch coming up on the way when you bat against him. It looks good until the last, and there's always that movement at the end.
Somebody asked Hunter if he wanted to stay with the A's. He said yes. Inside, I want to stay in baseball. What other job can you work 5 months, have a month in Arizona or Florida, and then go hunting and fishing the rest of the year? It's not a bad life. 3-1 pitch. Right at the knees, 3-2.
Kurt, the first time Ferguson faced Jim Hunter was in that big 9th inning in Game 1 when Hunter came out of the bullpen, and Catfish showed him nothing but fastballs. Threw him 4 fastballs, I believe it was, and Ferguson said that he was looking for something else.
That was Hunter's first relief job in 5 years. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. Garvey will be going. He's on the way, and Ferguson strikes out. No runs, a hit, 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 3.5, 2-0, Oakland. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn and Mrs. Kuhn there in the front row. Joe Cronin, retired president of the American League, in the back of the committee, just putting his hand up to his glasses. Carl Lindemann, the vice president of NBC Sports. See Lee McPhail there, the new president of the American League. And here we are in the last of the 4th inning. Dick Green struck out his first time. Many of the old-timers, when we had that double play and Campaneris was ready to throw to first, I know thought about the only triple play in World Series history. That was pulled off by Bill Wamsgans, the second baseman of the Cleveland against the Dodgers in 1920, an unassisted triple play. He got the line drive, he stepped on second and retired, killed Duff, then tagged Miller coming in from first.
He really got
unassisted triple play. 3-0, Downing against Green. And it was against the Brooklyn Dodgers at that time. Catfish Hunter due up next. Downing's 3-0 delivery. He slips a strike into Green. The A's ahead in the last of the 4th, 2-0. That's the 4th walk given up by Downing. He's been behind the hitters tonight, 2-0, 3-0.
Kurt, Bobby Winkles, the A's third base coach, came over and talked to Alvin Dark after that ball 4. Bobby's real good about that. He says that if there's any danger of him missing one, he'd rather go find out.
All right, Jim Hunter's up. Say's in at third, looking for a bunt. Garvey ready to charge from first. Jim Brewer's throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Moved to first. Green is back.
With Hunter swinging the bat at home plate, you've got a lot of possibilities. He's a pretty good hitter. He can bunt. They can try a bunt and run. They can try a hit and run. A lot of decoying.
Runner going, and the ball pushed perfectly by Hunter. He's out on the sacrifice. Green goes to second. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. This is Kurt Gowdy, Tony Kubek of NBC, and Monty Moore, the A's broadcaster. We're in the fourth. The A's now have Dick Green at second, one out. Bill North is up. He struck out and singled. He scored a run. Playing North. North is better right-handed than left-handed, has more power right-handed. Pitch is a shade inside for a ball. He came over here, the trade between Oakland and Chicago. He was destined to be a utility player and has wound up as a regular center fielder. Downing's pitch is a little tight again, 2-0.
Kurt, that turned out to be one of Charlie Finley's really good trades.
Take a look from that low center field camera we put in for this World Series and Championship Series. What it looks like from almost ground level over the center fielder's shoulder.
There's a high drive into deep left. Buckner's back almost to the track, not quite. Green plays it halfway and goes back to second. 2 down. North sending a long fly to left field. The next batter for Oakland, Campaneris. He doubled the left. He's grounded out.
Kurt, if North had hit that ball in the first inning, it might have been right against the wall. The ball really carries much better before the sun goes down here. It really gets heavy air out here this time of night.
And a slight breeze blowing right now from third to first. Campaneris again played as a full hitter. Green at second, 2 down. And here's a base hit into center. Green is rounding third. Wynn with a sore elbow and courts the throw, not in time. Gets by, will throw the cutoff man. There goes Campaneris to third. Ferguson, the catcher, went out to meet that throw, and nobody was backing up. And advancing to third was Campaneris.
Well, everyone knows it's in the Scotty report. Jimmy Wynn has a bad elbow, may require surgery. He uncorks what looks like a pretty strong throw. He says he has one or so. And Ferguson knew immediately that Al Downing was not backing up the plate. The ball got by and Campy was allowed to go all the way to third base. Here comes Wynn. He overthrows Garvey, the cutoff man, and no Al Downing backing up the play. He thought there might have been a throw to third.
Jimmy Wynn throwing here is going to have his elbow operated on. I asked him before the series, there's his throw, and Ferguson had to come out and meet. He overthrew the cutoff man. Downing was just standing there. I asked Wynn if he could uncork a hard throw, and he said, maybe one. And after that, I'll have a lot of pain for the next few days. He has a loose chip in his throwing elbow, and they're going to have surgery done on him. Jim Brewer is coming on to relieve Al Downing. So we have a break in the action here in the fourth inning with the score, Oakland 3 and Los Angeles nothing. This is Jim Brewer now on the pitch. He's facing Sal Bando. Let's watch Brewer. He's going to take a windup or the stretch. Campaneris the third. The pitch is high. Tomorrow night, World Series game number 4 from Oakland. Joe Garrett, Joe LaChaux was not seen tonight, and he has a great one for you tomorrow night, featuring the bubblegum chewers of the major leagues. That'll start at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Fastball right by him, 1-1. An error on that last play was given to the Dodger catcher, Joe Ferguson.
It's a tough error to have to take, Kurt. He ran up there trying to save the throw and definitely left the plate by 15 feet.
Campaneris at third. 2 down. The A's ahead, 3-0. Watch Campy. Jockey for a lead. Bando is grounded out and walked. And that's a pop foul and back of the play. Ferguson coming back. Just out of play. The Dodgers have not played good defensive ball tonight.
Kurt Brewer is a little surprising, I think, to me, and probably to Bando. He's thrown him 3 straight fastballs, and he's known, of course, as a screwball pitcher, but he's come right at him with 3 straight pitches.
Keep our eye on Brewer as he takes his windup. One of the pitcher's best weapons against that speedy runner on third. He'll look him back first before he starts. There he goes.
Campaneris made a slight bluff dash up the line, and that's why Brewer backed off the rubber. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Count to Bando. like his screwball. That's his pitch. But he missed outside with a 2-2 to Salbando, who's hitting third in the lineup. Campaneris at third, 2 down. Three balls and 2 strikes. Tomorrow night, Andy Messersmith pitches for the Dodgers. He started game 1, and Ken Holtzman comes back for the A's. It'll match up the 2 opening day pitchers. A right-hander, Messersmith, a left-hander, Holtzman. The 3-2 pitch to Bando. Struck him out on a fastball. 1 run, 1 hit. There was 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 4, 3-0 Oakland.
You really got
Unassisted double play. 3-0. Downing against Green. And it was against the Brooklyn Dodgers at that time. Catfish Hunter due up next. Downing's 3-0 delivery. He slips a strike into Green. The A's ahead in the last of the 4th, 2-0. That's the 4th walk given up by Downing. He's been behind the hitters tonight, 2-0, 3-0.
Kurt Bobby Winkles, the A's third base coach, came over and talked to Alvin Dark after that ball 4. Bobby's real good about that. He says that if there's any danger of him missing one, he'd rather go find out.
All right, Jim Hunter's up. Say's in at third, looking for a bunt. Garvey ready to charge from first. Jim Brewer's throwing in the Dodger bullpen. Moved to first. Green is back.
With Hunter swinging the bat at home plate, you've got a lot of possibilities. He's a pretty good hitter. He can bunt. They can try a bunt and run. They can try a hit and run. A lot of decoy.
Runner going, and the ball pushed perfectly by Hunter. He's out on the sacrifice. Green goes to second. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
WNBC TV, New York.
This is Kurt Gowdy, Tony Kubek of NBC, and Monty Moore, the A's broadcaster. We're in the 4th. The A's now have Dick Green at second, 1 out. Bill North is up. He struck out and singled. He scored a run. Playing North. North hits better right-handed than left-handed, has more power right-handed. Pitches a shade inside for a ball. He came over here, the trade between Oakland and Chicago. He was destined to be a utility player and has wound up as a regular center fielder. Downing's pitch is a little tight again, 2-0.
Kurt, that turned out to be one of Charlie Finley's really good trades.
Take a look from that low center field camera we put in for this World Series and Championship Series. What it looks like from almost ground level over the center fielder's shoulder.
There's a high drive into deep left. Buckner's back almost to the track, not quite. Green plays it halfway and goes back to second. 2 down. North sending a long fly to left field. The next batter for Oakland, Campaneris. He doubled the left. He's grounded out.
Kurt, if North had hit that ball in the first inning, it might have been right against the wall. The ball really carries much better before the sun goes down here. It really gets heavy air out here this time of night.
And a slight breeze blowing right now from third to first. Campaneris again played as a pull hitter. Green at second, 2 down. And there's a base hit into center. Green is rounding third. Wynn with a sore elbow and forced the throw, not in time. Gets by. Will throw the cutoff man. There goes Campaneris to third. Ferguson, the catcher, went out to meet that throw, and nobody was backing up. And advancing to third was Campaneris.
Well, everyone knows it's in the scouting report. Jimmy Wynn has a bad elbow, may require surgery. He uncorks what looks like a pretty strong throw. He says he has 1 or so. And Ferguson knew immediately that Al Downing was not backing up the plate. The ball got by, and Campy was allowed to go all the way to third base. Here comes Wynn. He overthrows Garvey, the cutoff man, and no Al Downing backing up the play. He thought there might have been a throw to third.
Jimmy Wynn throwing here is going to have his elbow operated on. I asked him before the series, there's his throw, and Ferguson had to come out and meet. He overthrew the cutoff man. Downing was just standing there. I asked Wynn if he could uncork a hard throw, and he said, maybe one. And after that, I'll have a lot of pain for the next few days. He has a loose chip in his throwing elbow, and they're going to have surgery done on him. Jim Brewer is coming on to relieve Al Downing. So we have a break in the action here in the fourth inning with the score, Oakland 3 and Los Angeles nothing. This is Jim Brewer now on the pitch. He's facing Sal Bando. Let's watch Brewer. He's going to take a windup or the stretch. Campaneris the third. The pitch is high. Tomorrow night, World Series game number 4 from Oakland. Joe Garagiola was not seen tonight, and he has a great one for you tomorrow night, featuring the bubblegum chewers of the major leagues. That'll start at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Fastball right by him, 1-1. An error on that last play was given to the Dodger catcher, Joe Ferguson.
It's a tough error to have to take, Kurt. He ran up there trying to save the throw and definitely left the plate by 15 feet.
Campaneris at third. 2 down. The A's ahead, 3-0. Watch Campy jockey for a lead. Bando is grounded out and walked. And that's a pop foul and back of the play. Ferguson coming back. Just out of play. The Dodgers have not played good defensive ball tonight.
Kurt Brewer is a little surprising, I think, to me, and probably to Bando. He's thrown him 3 straight fastballs, and he's known, of course, as a screwball pitcher, but he's come right at him with 3 straight pitches.
Keep our eye on Brewer as he takes his windup. One of the pitcher's best weapons against that speedy runner on third. He'll look him back first before he starts. There he goes.
Campaneris made a slight bluff dash up the line, and that's why Brewer backed off the rubber. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Count to Bando. Like his screwball, that's his pitch. But he missed outside with a 2-2 to Sal Bando, who's hitting third in the lineup. Campaneris at third, 2 down. Three balls and 2 strikes. Tomorrow night, Andy Messersmith pitches for the Dodgers. He started game 1, and Ken Holtzman comes back for the A's. It'll match up the 2 opening day pitchers. A right-hander Messersmith, a left-hander Holtzman. The 3-2 pitch to Bando. Struck him out on a fastball. 1 run, 1 hit. There was 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 4, 3-0 Oakland. The preceding announcement was furnished to the public service by Major League Baseball. Jim Hunter in the 5th inning will face Ron Say, Bill Russell, and Jim Brewer. Say flied out to left his first time, and he looks at a strike. The Dodgers out-hit the A's for the season by 25 points. Dodgers had 7 more homers. They outscored the A's, playing in 2 different leagues. The A's had 15 more stolen bases, and the pitching was about even. The A's pitching staff 2.95, the Dodgers 2.97. That's right, 2 very evenly matched teams. Bill Russell, the on-deck batter. Some folks give the A's the edge on World Series experience, and it is an asset. Say strikes out. 3rd strikeout for Jim Hunter. And an edge might be given to the A's on a 3rd starter. Holtzman, Blue, and Hunter. Messersmith and Sutton for the Dodgers. And, of course, the Dodgers had a rough break. They lost Tommy John, who, when he went out with an arm ailment, was the best pitcher on the Dodgers staff. He'd won 13 and lost 3 when he came up with a bad arm. A ball. Russell popped to the pitcher his first time. Joe Ferguson has 2 errors tonight. That ties the record by a catcher in a series game. That's a fly ball right out to north. 2 down.
There's where scouting reports come in to a great degree. Positioning defensively. Where does a man hit? What kind of power does he have? They did not have Russell listed as having exceptional power, so they played him more shallowly. It's like Lacey coming out now.
Lee Lacey will bat for Brewer. Jim Hunter is not a strikeout pitcher. He averaged just 4 strikeouts every 9 innings this year. He has struck out 3 in this World Series game. That's Charlie Huff, who'll be coming on to pitch in the last of the 5th inning.
Bringing the knuckleball mitt with him.
Yeah. Big, soft, flexible mitt that Joe Ferguson will put on behind the plate to better handle that butterfly pitch. We're waiting for Lee Lacey. There he is. Pee Wee, how are you? Pee Wee Reese, former Dodger captain, shortstop, gentleman. Did a great job with us here at NBC telecasting. I never met a finer person in baseball. Well, wait a minute. Forgot about Kubeck.
Thanks, pal.
I got a kick out of watching Pee Wee and Maury Wills throw out the first ball the other day in tandem, and they crossed throws to the 2 Dodger catchers.
Foul ball. Dodgers have had a run of great shortstops. Pee Wee for years. Maury Wills. Now young Bill Russell, who seems destined to be a great one for the future. 2 down, nobody on. Lee Lacey batting. That's a strike. Hunter's ahead, 2 strikes. The Catfish working with a 3-run lead.
I give you a quick quiz. Who was before Pee Wee Reese?
Leo DeRocher wasn't bad, was he? Huh? Dave Lopes on deck. A ball and 2 strikes to count. That's all, an easy inning as the Dodgers go quietly in the 5th. Well, we're halfway through this game. The score, the A's 3 and the Dodgers nothing. Well, we're halfway through. We're going to switch now to Monty Moore. This is the 3rd World Series in a row that Monty Moore has worked with us. He's riding a winner. The Oakland A's, who right now are sitting on top in this game 3-0. Now, Monty, what do you think now the rest of the way?
Well, Catfish is pretty tough when he gets the lead, Kurt, but the Dodgers have proven over the year that they can score a lot of runs, so it's certainly a long, long ways from over here tonight.
Tony, what about your comments the first half of this game?
Well, I just think the ball game is being played much more aggressively on both sides in the first two. They seem to settle down from the World Series pressure, and we're going to see good baseball the rest of the way.
Now, let's all sit back now and listen to the play-by-play of Monty Moore.
Okay, thank you very much, Kurt, and here's Reggie Jackson to lead it off in the last half of inning number 5. Joe Rudy and Gene Tennis will follow. Against a knuckleballer, Charlie Huff. The A's have been tough on knuckleball pitchers over the years. They've seen a lot of them in the American League, from Hoyt Wilhelm to Eddie Fisher. There are others now, Bruce Dow Canton in Kansas City, Wilbur Wood. So the A's have seen a lot of knuckleball pitching. Jackson takes for ball 2. Jackson's longest home run he ever hit in this ballpark, he hit off a left-hand knuckleballer, Wilbur Wood. There's a look at that big catcher's mitt, and you notice the catcher with his finger outside the mitt. A lot of the infielders and some outfielders are doing that now, too. Ball 3.
Paul Richards was the first man to have his team utilize that mitt when he had Hoyt Wilhelm at Baltimore and Gus Triandos behind the plate. There was nothing in the rule book.
At that time, they cut it down now, though, haven't they?
I think they have. Reggie, I was just looking. He's looking into the dugout for scouting report.
Right.
Will Huff throw a fastball on 3-0? Think he got an answer?
His sign language wasn't too subtle, was it? There's his answer, though. It's a fastball, and he missed with it, ball 4. Now, we might find out here how well Reggie feels that his leg is feeling. As Tony mentioned, he was running well. And you know, on that play Ferguson made a little while ago, or didn't make, I think, Kurt, that a factor there was that Ferguson probably was surprised to look over his shoulder and see Jackson running as hard as he was running down that line, because Fergie came out away from the plate, I'm sure, thinking Jackson was going to be running as he's done the whole playoffs and series.
Jackson says he's only 80% right, but the way he's been running, I have to believe he's close to maybe 95% right with his legs.
He was really running a lot the last month of the season before he got that leg hurt. Reggie wanted to steal 30 bases and hit 30 home runs. He didn't get either one because of the pulled hamstring muscle. Here he goes. And the catcher dropped the ball, and Jackson steals second. Well, we can take a look at him, I'm sure, from an angle here that tells just how well he was running.
There was no contest. He started moving before Charlie Huff made his first move, and with a knuckleball, it made it more difficult for Ferguson with that big glove where the ball gets stuck in the webbing and you can't get it out.
Big man with power, quite a player. Stole 25 out of 30 in the regular season. Hits home runs, knocks in runs. All-around star.
Joe Rudy's wife, Sharon, she's from Modesto. See that charm around her neck? That's the World Series charm from 1972. Joe bunts at the ball, and Jackson is back in at second.
Looks like she has more to say than her husband.
Joe's kind of a quiet man, except with a bat. Out of the Dodger bullpen, Jeff Zahn, a left-hander. Count is no balls, 2 strikes on Joe Rudy, whose natural way to hit the ball is to right and right center. And I'm sure he'll be trying to move Jackson over some way here by hitting the ball on the right side of the infield. Nobody down, 5th inning. The A's lead 3-0. He got him. Here's a big strikeout. So there's 1 out in the 5th inning. And Gene Tennis, the A's walking man, comes up. He led the American League in free passes and has walked twice tonight so far. You got to watch Jackson here. He may get a big enough jump that he would try to steal third base with the right-hand batter up.
I'm surprised that he's running, though. I'll tell you why in a minute, Monty.
0-1.
He was telling me he's going to change his style of play, that he evidently can't run hard anymore and take chances. That's Tennis's wife.
Linda.
Because he's going to keep pulling those leg muscles if he does.
Strike call, 1-1. Well, you know, the national television cameras and big crowds have a way of turning Reggie Jackson on, Kurt.
We've seen that before.
He has not a knuckle grip there, but
many times he'll have that ball hanging down by his side in the knuckleball grip. He'll set his hand on the seams or his fingers on the seams the way he wants them, then put the knuckleball in the glove so it is set and ready to go just the way he wants to grip it.
How does his knuckleball break, basically?
All different directions, and he has trouble at times, Monty, when he throws it too slowly, keeping it in the strike zone. It breaks that much, so he has to speed it up, and that at times gets him in trouble.
1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out, 5th inning. Ferguson backhanded that ball. That must be tough enough to come out of right field and go behind the plate against an easy pitcher to catch, let alone a knuckleballer. He seems to throw it pretty hard. Three balls and a strike. Well, Gene Tennis might be looking for a fastball here on 3-1.
If he gets it, I'd sure be surprised with that first latter part of the batting order coming up.
He didn't get it. It was a strike. That'll go as a fast ball. Boy, you talk about a ball jumping. That thing really twisted and dived.
This will give you an example of how tough a knuckleball is. Look at that. The glove is open. And look how much that ball jumped. Probably a foot. Those last couple of feet as it was on his way to home plate.
I did a hula dance right at the plate.
Ooh, a skirt on it and everything. Well, they say that a catcher should try to get in front of every ball, but How are you going to get in front of one like that? 3-2 count, and the Dodgers bring their infield in now, right on the grass. Strike 3 called. A great pitch by Charlie Huff. He gave him one that he couldn't handle. Tennis was looking for a ball he could drive right there, and that knuckleball just dived down and away, and it shows something about Ferguson, I think, here, that he wasn't afraid to go with the best pitch that the pitcher has, despite the fact there was a runner at third, and he already dropped a couple.
Monty, that last pitch, in fact, the last two almost hit in the dirt. So you can imagine as it crosses home plate, if it's a strike, in the opinion of the umpire, how far it's got to go down before it reaches that catcher's glove.
0-1. Two down, 5th inning. Oakland 3, Dodgers nothing. There have been only 6 hits. There's Dick Green waiting for a chance to bat here in the 5th. Ferguson, year before last, or actually last year, not this season, had the best defensive record any catcher ever had in the National League. That ball's fouled off. He only made 3 errors all year as a catcher. Reggie Jackson got on a walk, stole second, went to third on a pass ball. Huff has struck out Rudy and Tennis. 2-1. That ball came back inside that time. The A's scouting report on Huff mentions the fact that most of his knuckleballs will go down and away from a right-hand batter. Those were the big ones he threw to Gene Tennis. They were going down and away. But he's been back inside on Ray Fosse now for a couple of pitches. Ronce, tough play. He made it, and that's all for the Oakland A's in the 5th inning. It's 3-0 Oakland. At the Oakland Coliseum, we go to the top half of the 6th inning, and there are the men on television without picture, or radio without pictures. That's Vince Scully on the left of your screen, and NBC's Jim Simpson doing his 6th straight World Series.
Looks like he's mad at somebody, doesn't he?
Tell me you guys were looking for him the other day, couldn't find him in the booth. Davey Lopes is up and hits the first pitch into center field, a base hit. Well, every scouting report the A's have says that Lopes is a first ball fastball hitter, and he has hit 2 first fastballs to center field in this game for singles.
And it'll be interesting to see what he does now. The Dodgers 3 runs down, but it doesn't seem to make any difference to him what the score is. If he gets the jump, he goes.
He has stolen 2 bases tonight. He's been on 3 times. Bill Buckner has one of the most amazing statistics that I think any of the Dodgers have. He struck out only 96 times, but the fact that he went no longer than 2 games at any time without a base hit this year. That's a model of consistency. Dick Green in to talk with Catfish Hunter.
Dodgers have been a good come-from-behind team all year.
The conference that Green, I think, had with Hunter is, where are you going to pitch him? You're going to make him pull the ball, hit away. You're going to come inside with a breaking pitch where he might hit it in the hole to my left, or the sinker away where he'll go more aptly up the middle.
Even though the A's lead 3-0, as Kurt mentioned, the Dodgers will run at any time, and Catfish Hunter well aware of that. Just tossed back over to first. Ball's hit well, but too high in the right field. Reggie Jackson right there. And there's one away in the 6th inning. You know, by running, no matter what the score is, if he runs, somebody's got to move. And the Dodgers got a big run the other day in a ball game because Dick Green was covering second base, and Gene Tennis couldn't get back out into right field to get that little ball that Buckner hit there. And that happened just because the Dodgers were a running team.
One of the best, I think, at positioning himself. He has lost some speed, but Dick Green, you going to give the signals, you control it?
Jimmy Wynn takes the breaking ball low. Green cheats quite a bit defensively. He gets the signs. He knows the hitters in the American League much better than he knows these, but he really moves around. If he sees the ball is going to be a breaking ball, he'll move. Ball 2.
Just one of the best at that who didn't have any speed but was always there was Lou Boudreau. He played shortstop with the Indians.
Gil McDougall.
1 out, 6th inning. Lopes has a big lead at first now. He's not going. Wynn hits in the air into left center field, not very deep. Billy North runs Joe Rudy off the play, and there are 2 down. Kurt, I believe you were in the New York area when Alvin Dark was playing shortstop. What kind of a defensive shortstop was he?
He was good. He was a smart player. He positioned himself also. Good hitter. Handled a bat well. Went to right field. Played in 3 World Series. He was a champion.
You just saw him whistle right there. He's one of the best whistlers I've ever seen. He could get the attention of any A's player on the field, no matter how big the crowd is, with that shrill whistle he has.
We remarked Sunday, and you know more than anyone about this, he probably had the toughest managerial job in baseball this year.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think he's done as well as any human could have done this year. He's a very patient man. He's a Christian man, and that's been a big virtue for him this year. It's taken that because he's gotten it from all sides, the press and the players. He set out in spring training to get this team into the World Series, and here they are. Steve Garvey, the batter for the Dodgers. Here goes Lopes. And Garvey ran up on that ball, tried to hit behind him. And the right side of the infield was empty for him. Lopes goes back.
Pitchers do not like to have any hitter, no matter how good you are, step up in the batter's box on them. Takes away that breaking ball or sinker. You're trying to get it before the break on it. And I've known pitchers who've come inside after something like that.
Yes, then he definitely went after Catfish that time. He took a couple of steps up there going after the ball. Got to be guessing where that ball is and guessing right. Drive foul off the right field side. Garvey hits the ball well the other way.
Ball just jumps off his bat. He's so strong. Everything he hits is live, and it pops through that infield. He drives the ball hard.
Davy Lopes, he's fast that he ran out from under 2 caps, his regular baseball cap, which he wears under his batting helmet.
That's something the Dodgers started, I think, before anyone else, wearing those protective caps on the base paths. I think I recall Joe Garagiola during one of our games with the Dodgers. He brought that point up. Somebody had gotten hit by a thrown ball.
It's mandatory in the American League now, is it in the National?
I think it is.
2 strikes to count. Lopes stole second on this count earlier tonight. Hunter's been going outside to Garvey, and the reason is obvious. He can pull the inside pitch right out of the ballpark, and Hunter doesn't want to have 2 runs against him real quickly. He came inside on him, and it's fouled off. Cat once in a while can muscle up and throw the ball by you. A lot of people underrate his fastball. The Carolina Cat. The A's feel to a man that if they have a big game to win and they hand the ball to him, they've got a better than average chance of winning. Bando's going the short route for the final out to Dick Green for the force play on Lopes, and the Dodgers don't score in the 6th. It remains Oakland 3, Dodgers nothing.
Andy Messersmith pitches for the Dodgers tomorrow night. But before that, he'll be showing his bubblegum talents on the baseball world of Joe Garagiola. A lot of great bubblegums.
Well, you get the thing chewed up, like I say, it takes a good period. Depends on what weight gum you're using. If you're using a lot of gum, it takes, of course, a longer period. And then you kind of mash it around. Then you get it kind of flat, like this, excuse me, and push with your tongue. Notice the lip. Off your gum.
You got a light lip. That's it.
All right, Andy. He's going to be tough tomorrow night, isn't he?
Now, I haven't seen the show, but who are you picking? Pachorik.
I tell you, that's not bubblegum in his jaw right there.
I like Lopes the way he opened the ball game tonight.
Doesn't leave much for you, Monty.
Here's Dick Green against the knuckleballing Charlie Huff. It's foul off. Strike 1. You know, maybe Messersmith's like Catfish Hunter. Catfish never chews tobacco on the mound. He chews bubblegum all the time, but the second he gets out of a game into the dressing room, he pokes his jaw full of tobacco. Inside, it's a ball, 1-1. And it looks as if Messersmith was enjoying something other than bubblegum in the dugout. There's the Catfish. Ball's outside. The odd thing about the A's, since they've been in Oakland, they've usually had a better record on the road than they've had at home. But this year, the A's have been very tough at home. They've won 49 and lost only 32 at home. That was the best home record in the American League by any club. Green fouls this pitch away. The A's on the road this year were just one game over 500 at 41 and 40. The amazing thing about the Dodgers is they were just as good on the road as they were at home. They won 52 at home and 50 on the road. It's a great record. Bobby Winkle showing his best move. An odd twist about that fact you mentioned a little while ago, Kurt, about Bobby Winkle's opening the season as manager of the Angels. There's the fact that he's now with the Oakland A's in the World Series, and the man who managed the A's in the World Series last year is now manager of the Angels. All three.
And another twist is Winkle's coach Sal Bando, Reggie Jackson in college at Arizona State. There's the record of the A's that Monty was talking about.
And the fourth best record in the league away, but the best at home. Full count pitch. He went to a fastball then, it looked like. He doesn't want to walk Dick Green. Dick hitting only .212 now, but most of the season, Greeny was up around .258, around .265 at times even.
He's having fun tonight.
Swinging at that knuckleball, huh?
He's one of the funniest guys that you've ever been around. He really keeps everybody loose.
Including himself.
Yes, sir. He announced his retirement at the end of last season, and then arbitration came along, and he saw all that big money all his teammates were getting. He said, I can't make that kind of money in moving business in Rapid City, South Dakota. He came out for a good salary. And he has things all fouled up here. He fouls off another one. Up is just rearing back and throwing fastballs now. Throw him another knuckleball for strike him out, break his back. Popped it up. The Penguin makes the catch. And there's one out, and that's pretty good pitching. Well, you got 3-ball count on a batter who keeps fouling them off and fouling them off. The pressure's on the pitcher. He doesn't have any room to make any bad ones. Here's pitcher Catfish Hunter. Part of the Oakland crowd, which along with that great crowd in Dodger Stadium for each of the first two games, are going to make this the richest player pool, I believe, in World Series history. Catfish ducks away. Ball one.
No, he was knocking him down with a knuckleball. But knuckleball, we look at it again. Started off way inside. Came back in, and you wonder why a catcher misses a lot of knuckleballs. It moves a lot, but another reason, that big glove, many times you put it right in front of your face and block your vision.
Foul away, 1-1. You notice Ferguson doesn't give him a target either. He just holds the mitt. He stays as loose as he can and up on his feet. He's ready to move either direction.
Just trying to stay in the ballpark.
Tell you a story about, you see him, we mentioned his finger out of the mid a moment ago. We'll tell you a story. Two of the Oakland A's players this year were hurt as a result of their fingers being out of the glove. Cat fouls it back. The only two I've ever heard of. I'm sure there have been others, but Joe Rudy came in and tried to shoestring a ball in left field, and he plays with his finger out of the glove and just he tried to shoestring it, dragged it along the ground, just laid his left index finger right back up against his wrist. He struck him out. Good low knuckleball that time. There were two down. And Dick Green was the other Oakland player to be out of the lineup as a result of an injury with the finger out of the glove. He tagged a runner in Anaheim, and the runner's spikes came in. Dick tagged him with the back of the glove up and took about 18 stitches in his finger.
Billy North in this situation against a knuckleballer may try and beat out a bunt. And then we may see those legs go to work on the base pass if he's successful, and Say's looking for it. The whole infield has come in several steps.
Right, the first baseman's back behind the bag, though. Strike call. Not that much of a surprise. North very rarely has dragged the ball, even though yesterday here in batting practice, see there's a look at the infield. First sacker, Garvey's way back. North was working on drag bunting yesterday. 1-1.
Good shot here how the National League umpire works. Left-hander up on the inside.
This is a good one, too, Doug Harvey. It's a strike. Oh, you could hear him, I believe, in our field microphone. That yell you heard was from Doug Harvey. The next one might have been from Billy North. This is the second World Series Harvey's been in. Well, these guys like North and Campaneris, Lopes, the good runners really try to get on base against these knuckleballers. Easy to steal on them.
The speed of that knuckleball is very important. And sometimes a knuckleballer early in the ball game, when he first comes in, has difficulty finding the right speed for that day. You like to throw it into the wind more than with the wind, where the break is taken off.
He got him. Charlie Huff is tough. After 6 innings, the score, the Oakland A's 3, the Los Angeles Dodgers nothing.
Next Sunday, if we have World Series game number 7, we'll have a football-baseball doubleheader beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. In football, you'll see Baltimore against the Jets, Cleveland at Pittsburgh, New England at Buffalo. Each team's lost only 1 game. They won 4 out of 5. See, the Patriots are undefeated. Buffalo's won 4 out of 5. If the World Series is completed, then we'll have a football doubleheader. 1 o'clock, Baltimore, New York, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, New England, Buffalo. At 4 o'clock, San Diego versus Denver, Kansas City, Miami, Cincinnati, and Oakland, right here at the Oakland Coliseum. It'll all be on NBC Sports, #1 in live coverage of major sports events all year round. We're going now to the 7th inning, and again, Monty Moore.
All right, Kurt, here's Willie Crawford against Catfish Hunter, and Cat misses low for ball 1. The Dodgers have no runs, 3 hits. The A's 3 runs, 4 hits. Crawford. Good speed, and man, is he built. Fly ball to center. Watch Billy North make this catch. Now he's going to go across his body. Many times he'll catch the ball down around that A right on the uniform.
He plays shallow, doesn't he, Monty?
Very shallow. He and Paul Blair in the American League play very, very shallow. They both can go back on the ball extremely well. North in the playoffs just outran a ball hit by Mark Belanger that might have turned the second game around.
That's one of the best catches we've seen all year.
The ball was definitely by him, and he just ran it down and caught it. That's from right behind Billy, from the low center field camera mounted right over the fence. Here's Ferguson. He struck out twice tonight. Called strike. Hunter now struck him out the only 3 times he's seen him.
Ferguson hit that home run over the center field wall in Los Angeles, and North is still fairly shallow for him.
There's the camera. Right behind it, the A's slogan this year, once more in 74. And there's the shot from him. Ferguson fouls it off.
Hunter, today, like so many times you've seen him with that perfect control, he's like a surgeon out there performing an operation. When he goes for the outside corner, if he misses away off the plate, not toward the center of the plate. We saw him one playoff game against Baltimore where he missed with quite a few pitches. I remember one to Brooks Robinson.
1-2 count. Oh, he busted that one. Missed high with it.
They have an interesting banner out in left field. Catfish, say it ain't so.
Yeah, I saw that. They're talking about, of course, the speculation that Catfish might leave the A's. Tried a breaking ball then, missed with it. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes. There it is. Catfish, say it ain't so.
Charlie Finley says he won't leave. He'll be with him.
Cat himself said yesterday, someone said, where do you think you'll be next year? He said, wearing green and gold, and who else in the major leagues has that color? He jammed him, and it's fouled off behind the plate.
They decoyed Ferguson. Fosse set up down low and away. He tapped that glove high and inside, and Catfish hit it.
The A's have set quite a goal for themselves. 5 world championships in a row to match the great Yankee teams.
Three and 2 count. And he took a shot at that low outside corner. I mean, he had him 2 quick strikes and lost him, and that doesn't happen to Hunter too often.
Hunter doesn't look like he's tiring one bit. We'll show you again in slow motion. His motion has not changed at all. See that high knee kick, and he conceals the ball well with a glove. Always shooting the corner, always spotting the ball.
Tony and Kurt, I think there's Rollie Fingers getting up in the bullpen. I think Jim Hunter's thrown fewer breaking balls tonight than any game I've seen him in a long time. He had one game toward the end where he threw almost all fastballs, but he usually throws a lot more breaking balls than tonight. He must feel he doesn't have a good one. Outside, either that or he feels he has an exceptionally good fastball.
Monty, from the times we've seen Catfish Hunter, you, of course, have seen him more, pitching almost all of his games, but he goes and stays with what's working best for him on a particular night.
Ron Say, and a 1-0 count to him is yanked foul by Tommy Lasorda at third base, off in the A's bullpen area. The two third base coaches in this series are very colorful and, I think, very personable people. Tommy Lasorda, Mr. Enthusiasm.
They had him mic'd up on Sunday for the World Series film.
They tell me some of it won't get on the film. Little low for a ball, 2-1. He got a little upset at one of the umpires. There's Yogi Berra with Casey Stengel.
Brett Shanding's right behind him.
2 balls and a strike, and Sal Bando goes in to talk to Hunter now. Sal's a steadying influence on that infield. He's almost like having an assistant manager out there. Got Mike Marshall's up in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Campy got manhandled on that little bouncer. He started to come in, and then he stopped on it. Tony, he looked as if he couldn't make up his mind whether to come after it or not.
He got caught in between hops. You can see right there, and then he decided as it goes off the heel of his glove, to just smother and get one. Green wisely does not throw as Fergie comes in hard. Wanted to get the sure one with this kind of lead.
So Bill Russell comes on. Makes his home in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, as does Jim Brewer. What are the odds that 2 men from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma would be in a World Series? Pitch is fouled off, strike 1. Mike Marshall. On deck is Von Joshua as they move down to the pitcher's spot on the batting order. The Dodgers have an outstanding bench. There's a little looping base hit into left field. And the Dodgers now will bring the tying runner to the plate with 2 men on and 2 down in the 7th inning. Von Joshua comes up.
And Bill Russell now is the only player who's hit safely in all 7 postseason games in the National League playoffs and in the World Series.
Wes Stock, the pitching coach, who never makes the changes on the mound, goes out to talk to Catfish Hunter. And there might be another reason why Hunter hasn't thrown his breaking ball very much. He dropped that breaking ball right on the inside corner against a man down in the batting order that he ordinarily wouldn't be leaving one like they're on.
I think Charlie Finley has been responsible for having some pretty good pitching coaches around. Bill Posadel, who handled a lot of these kids. Wes Stock picked him up.
I asked Dick Williams last year about Finley's baseball knowledge. He said it's very good, especially on pitching.
Von Joshua, left-handed batter with a .234 batting average for the Dodgers. He hit 1 home run this year and had 16 runs batted in.
The last couple of years, the Dodgers have got excellent results from their pinch hitters off the bench.
Fly ball left center field. It's going to take some running, but Rudy should get there. He's got it. And the Dodgers don't score again off the Catfish. The score in the middle of the 7th inning, the A's 3, the Dodgers nothing.
NBC's excellent coverage of the National Hockey League will be on for the 3rd year in a row. It will start January 5th. NBC Sports, #1 in live coverage the year round. And now we have Mike Marshall making his 3rd appearance in 3 games. He cannot break a record, but he can tie a World Series record that Darrell Knowles set 2 years ago for the A's when he appeared in every World Series game. Last year, Darrell Knowles, Fingers pitched in 6 games. Marshall's right back tonight.
Leading off is Bert Campaneris in the last half of the 7th inning. Sal Bando and Reggie Jackson.
And Charlie Huff pitched a couple of strong innings, Monty.
Well, he did. No hits. He struck out 4, walked only 1 with that knuckleball, and it was close. Here's a tough little out right here, Campy Campaneris. He's had 2 hits tonight. Strike in the inside corner. Boy, Marshall is an amazing pitcher. The A's don't yet know what he has. He hasn't been in the game long enough for them to really have had a good look at him. It's the screwball. They know he has one of those.
A lot of the National Leaguers who've seen him often don't know what he has.
Let's take a look at that screwball of Campy once again. And we've told you before, he has several different kinds. There you can see the one goes almost straight down.
Back live again. Campaneris hits a grounder to Russell, and he throws him out. There's one away. Well, it's an off-speed pitch, and it goes down real well, and obviously he's mastered the art of keeping it down. Screwball pitchers that hang it letter high get hurt.
Bando hit against him when Marshall was pitching with Seattle in its 1 year in the American League. Bando said Marshall was just starting to come up with that screwball that year.
Bob Locker, a pitcher with the A's who's injured right now, has been disabled all year long, was with Marshall in Seattle, and he said he would really love to talk to Marshall now because they throw a lot of life. Locker throws kind of a twisting ball. Bando hits it to Ron Say on 2 hops, and he throws him out. Say has kind of a funny way of throwing that ball. He kind of pops his body right straight up as he throws.
He throws more with his arm than anything else. A little waddle he has and everything he does.
Look at the arm on Marshall.
You've mentioned many times during the course of the year the number of appearances he's made, over 100 in the regular season. One of the reasons he has that kind of consistency, I think, is because he does not blow it down in the bullpen. He knows how to warm up properly.
Here's Reggie Jackson. 2 out, 7th inning. Threw him a fastball, and Reggie hit it right over the bag. At first, it goes foul.
He puts it on for a foul ball, and he admits it.
Reggie's always on stage. I'll tell you, he enjoys it.
Center stage.
One of the things I get a kick out of him, he's a tremendous fan, though. He follows the National League, American League, old-timers. He knows the averages of everybody. He's a great baseball buff.
I tell you what, the first month and a half, 2 months of this season, he was the best baseball player I've ever seen. He was doing everything, hitting the ball out of the park. He was stealing bases, playing great in the outfield. I mean, he pulled a hamstring muscle in Texas going from first to third. Marshall goes with a fastball and misses low. It's 1-1. And then Reggie had some ups and downs the rest of the year, but it's hard to maintain the peak that he attained last year as the MVP, unanimously voted so in the American League. Once you're on top, it's tough to stay there. Marshall blistered another fastball in there. It's 1-2.
I don't know if that was in the A's scouting report. I know they talked about his screwball, but he gets a lot of hitters out with that fastball. You stand up there in the back of your mind thinking screwball, and this fastball's by you.
He's not only thrown Reggie fastballs here, he's thrown him real good knee-high fastballs. Wow, there's another one. Missed with it high, 2-2. 2 out, 7th inning. The score, the Oakland A's 3, the Los Angeles Dodgers nothing. Each club has only 4 hits. This was expected to be a pitching-dominated series, and it certainly has been that. But the last 2 series for the Oakland A's have been just that kind. They just do not score big runs. Strike 3 called. He looked at a fastball right down the middle, and Marshall comes in and set the A's down in order. After 7 full innings, it's 3-0 Oakland. Walter O'Malley, chairman of the board, the Los Angeles Dodgers, gets a welcome from the Oakland A's with a big message board. Oakland has a new right fielder now in the ball game. It's Claudell Washington as Hunter pitches to Davy Lopes and starts him off with a strike. There's Claudell Washington in right field in the place of Reggie Jackson. The reason he is there, other than the fact he's a good defensive outfielder, is that Jackson, of course, still has that tender leg. Billy North going deep, and he makes the catch.
Boy, he can go back on the ball. He plays very shallow, and he just outruns deep drive.
Well, we've heard that. The scouting report on North is he is not a good center fielder. Right here, he will disprove that. he might be inconsistent at times, but this was a very difficult play going almost straight back as we see from that center field camera. A fine running catch by North, and he throws well too, Monty.
Yeah, I don't know who might have made a scouting report that he's a bad center fielder, because I've been watching. I've seen every game he's played over here, and he has given the A's a sensational job in center field. He has made some errors, some throwing errors, but he's not afraid to dive after the ball. He's not afraid to climb the wall. He's just been a very, very fine center fielder for Oakland.
The thing about it is he's playing a good center field late in the year when he was not hitting, so he hasn't gotten down on himself defensively.
They're getting something off the outfield, but Hunter's been stung here. Had a single and a long fly by Joshua in the 7th. Now this long drive by Lopes in the 8th.
And, Kurt, that was off a high-hanging slider right there, too. That's the kind that get hit out of the ballpark, and immediately Rollie Fingers started pumping harder out in the Oakland bullpen. He's joined there by a left-hander, Paul Lindblad. The catfish starts coming up. They start getting him out of there usually. Here's Billy Buckner. Hunter tried to show everybody with that fastball he still has some zip left on it. He's been almost without a breaking ball tonight, though. I'd be interested in hearing what he has to say after the game, but watching from here, it's looked as if he's almost been without one. There's a long drive to right. Parnell Washington can't get that one. It is gone. Hits his 8th home run of the season. He had 7 in the regular year, and that's going to be all for Catfish Hunter. That 2 balls in a row really drilled.
He's called for the right-hander, Rollie Fingers. Catfish started dropping that arm down a little bit, coming more from the side. Fastball may have straightened out, and we will once again not have a complete game for 16-7. How many is that? 17 consecutive World Series games. No starters.
He goes out. He is undefeated in World Series competition, but he's never pitched a complete game. Jim Hunter getting a standing ovation. We have a break in the action here in Oakland. The score on the top of the 8th now, Oakland 3 and Los Angeles 1. Rollie Fingers is on.
Let's take a look and see this last homer, and you can see Fosse, the catcher, setting up down low and away. Look where it goes, almost right down the middle. Maybe a little bit the outside part of the plate, but higher than most pitches Hunter has thrown today.
Jimmy Wynn, the first man that Rollie Fingers faces. Wynn tagged him for a home run in the first game of the series. Fingers, the high fastball missing.
That's Peter O'Malley. He's the president of the Dodgers. Trained on the low minor leagues on up to the big job, which he's doing a very capable job of.
Fingers miss it again. It's 2 balls and no strikes. It's 3-1. You know that in the last 16 World Series games the A's have played, in 72, 73, and the first 2 games this year, the A's have scored more than 3 runs only 3 times. And they lost 2 of those ball games.
They have scored in both the Cincinnati and Mets series and won both series.
Wynn had a good cut. It's 2-1.
That brings up an interesting observation. I asked Steve Garvey about his impression of the A's tonight, and he said they don't get many hits, but they're winners. They know how to win.
Jimmy Wynn's wife taking a look. Fingers gets one by him, a foul tip, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And then Sal Bando said about the Dodgers, a very fine team. I'm surprised they play with such poise at 24, 25 years of age. They're where we were 2 or 3 years ago. They're on their way.
2-2 to Jimmy Wynn. Ground ball right side. That's a base hit. That was on a good pitch. Fingers got that ball probably within an inch or 2 of exactly where he wanted it.
And Monty, as we started this inning, you mentioned the defensive replacement in right field, Caudell Washington, and he is going to be a good player. But I've got to wonder, as the Dodgers creep closer, about taking Reggie Jackson's bat out of the lineup in case this game gets tied up.
Well, here's a man who could tie it up with one swing of the bat. The Dodgers' top RBI man, Steve Garvey. He's 1 for 3 tonight. 1 out, 1 run in. Sal Bando's guarding the line at third, so they're giving Garvey a little ground to his left. They want to keep that tying run out of scoring position, so Bando is almost standing on the foul line. Drive to Green. They throw back to first. Double play. And that's all for the Dodgers here in the 8th inning. The score, Oakland 3, Los Angeles 1.
Well, pitching, defense, and especially defensive positioning. And that's what Dick Green did. A couple of balls hit like shot, but he was right there, and he got rid of the ball very quickly to get the fleet-footed Jimmy Wynn.
So it's 3-1 here at the Oakland Coliseum as we go to the last half of inning number 8.
This is the second double play the Dodgers have hit into tonight with a vicious line drive. This is Wynn. There's Green in the corner of your picture. Look at that snap throw. Underhand sweep snap, and he's got him. Very quick reactions by Dick Green.
There's Greeny in the dugout. It had to be, too, because he actually had his head down and was making sure he had the ball before he threw it. Wynn did his best to get back, made a headlong dive, but the ball just nailed him. Here's Joe Rudy against Mike Marshall. Rudy's had 2 hits off Marshall so far in the World Series. But he doesn't this time. Mike Spears a comebacker and throws him out.
Old shortstop, Mike Marshall.
About 4 years in the Tiger chain. Said he had to quit that position because his back bothered him, bending down so much.
Good thing he didn't learn kinesiology about the back before now. Here's Gene Tennis, the A's first baseman, 1 out, 8th inning. It's 3-1. Oakland over the Dodgers, Game 3 of the 1974 World Series. Like a curveball then, strike call.
Well, the Dodgers have hit some shots tonight to have only 1 run.
Through another fastball, it's 1-1.
Bonnie, the pitch prior to this last one, the one you said looked like a curveball, that's that crazy screwball that breaks away, which sounds impossible, but not so, from the right-handed hitter.
Tennis drives it to left, base hit. Buckner gets it back into the infield. With 1 out, there's 1 on for the A's in the last half of inning number 8. Ray Fosse is the batter for the Oakland A's, and we're going to have a pinch runner now. Gene Tennis is being taken out of the game, and Hurricane Herb Washington, who was picked off by Mike Marshall in the last World Series game in Los Angeles. And you know, Kurt, the press made a lot out of that as if it were the biggest play of the ball game, that he was picked off. But the A's had other runners at second base in the game and had still not gotten them home. And they were down at the bottom of the batting order.
Tennis didn't throw his helmet tonight.
He's really hanging on to it, isn't he?
He was mad in Baltimore when they took him out for the pinch runner.
So Ray Fosse is up. Hurricane Herb Washington, a track man who stole 29 bases for the A's this year. And a fastball to Fosse, a strike.
I'll tell you, he didn't get 1 step off that bag against Marshall.
He was about 6 feet shorter than the other ball game.
Listen, you learn as a little bitty kid, don't put your hand in the cookie jar twice if you get caught the first time.
The thing about him, though, with that great speed, he does not need too big of a lead. He just outruns the baseball.
Fosse pops it up. Right out behind second base. If they're smart, they'll let that ball drop and get Washington off. They're not going to do it. Lopes could have dropped that ball and caught it and had a force play at second and gotten Washington off the bases.
Somebody had a gag around the batting cage tonight. What was the president going to speak about? And they said the pickoff play, the first base.
Well, I got to hand it to Herb Washington. He's been a good-natured guy. He's taken a lot of ribbing from his own teammates, but he's really fit in well with the ball club. They, after realizing that he was going to be around, all tried to help the guy, and I tell you, he can dish it right back. And when he felt part of the team, he started doing just that.
And with 2 outs, I think they're going to let him take a shot at him. Get in scoring position for Green. Ronnie, how many times this year when he was picked off, did he make it successfully to second base?
Well, the A's had a play with left-hand pitcher where 8 times he was picked off. He tried to get picked off and just kept going to second. He made it 8 times. Pitch is high for a ball, particularly with a left-hand pitcher and a right-handed throwing first baseman who would have to make a little pivot. Herb would get off about 16 or 17 feet right out in there, just keep going and make the pitcher raise his foot up. And the second the pitcher would put the foot up, he's gone to second base, and it takes a good throw to get him.
Let me get your verdict. Did he help this ball club or not?
Well, I think he did, Kurt, because he was the 25th man on a 25-man roster. There he goes. Green swings and hits it to left field deep. There are 2 down, and Herbie's stopping at second base. He doesn't know how many are out. And this is what they talk about not having the baseball sense. He could have been going and should have been going with 2 down, but he stopped at second. After 8 innings, the score 3-1 Oakland. Well, the A's have a new first baseman. He's Jim Holt, acquired from the Minnesota Twins a little after midseason by the A's. So it's up to Rollie Fingers now. He'll have Crawford, Ferguson, and Say in the top half of the 9th inning. Crawford taking a strike.
Tell me Holt's a good fielding first baseman.
He is a very good fielding first baseman, and Alvin Dark feels that the A's are not weakening themselves all that much at first base when tennis comes out, other than Gino probably knows the hitters much better in the American League. Breaking ball misses. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. There's a drive deep right center. Billy North not going to get to that one. It is gone. A home run for Willie Crawford. Willie Crawford just crushed that ball. That was a low line drive. And Billy North, the A's center fielder, hardly even took a step towards the wall.
Here's that swing again. Looks like sinker ball. Not quite low enough and not quite on the outside part of the plate. He got all of it.
Here's Ferguson. He'll be trying to hit one out of here. It's 3-2 now. Oakland leading by only a run.
Three to two, 3 in a row. This was not over yet, though.
Fingers slider misses outside. It's a ball and a strike. The Dodgers have out-hit the A's 7-5. Breaking ball again. 2-1 to Ferguson, and Alvin Dark got to be having some anxious moments now. Walter Alston, realizing what a big game this one is.
Dave Yeager with the glasses.
Didn't seem to be too rattled. He's smiling. Bouncing ball to short. Campaneris drops the ball. Didn't get him.
And then I believe, Monty, had he pounced on that ball immediately, he might still have had a chance. Alvin Dark is going to come out. Campy, who played so brilliantly in the World Series last year, along with Buddy Harrelson, has had problems. A little shakier this year, his second error.
These have been odd games. They rock along with not much action. But the 9th innings have all been exciting every game.
Let's look at it again. Ferguson running. He does not run well. He took his time going down after it. And then he realized, hey, that's a slow runner.
Take a look at it from another angle, too. This is from behind Campaneris. It came right back up to him, sort of.
That's where he took his time, Monty.
They're going to have a pinch runner for Ferguson now.
Dodgers with a good bench. Rick Auerbach is going to come out. I think that may be one of the stronger points of the two teams. The Dodgers with a little edge off the bench.
Well, in a similar situation over in Los Angeles the other day, the A's did not bunt. Do you think the Dodgers will here, or will they try to play to win on the road?
I think I got to let Shea take a crack at it. Jones, the left-hander, Odom, the right-hander.
Nobody down in the 9th inning.
They're changing something now. Shea steps out.
There's Zahn, and let's take a look at where Bando is at third base. Almost on the line, even with the bag, if we get a shot.
Shea squared the bunt, but took it low, ball 1.
Watch Bando cover that line now.
First 2 games of a World Series were played fairly relaxed mood, but now it's almost like a playoff championship series. It's best 3 out of 5 from here on in. Bunt's foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
In these 3 games, Auerbach going back to first. The Dodgers now have out-hit the A's 24-17. And they've out-homered the A's 4 homers to 1.
Breaking ball, he takes a look at a strike.
That was the one to bunt to. It wasn't that hard fastball. Breaking ball a little bit easier most of the time if you look at Tommy Lasorda.
I think the A's will more than likely loosen up a little bit now with 2 strikes on save. Bando's back maybe 3 or 4 more steps. He struck him out. Fingers, after that breaking ball for strike 2, came in with a very live fastball and out away from Ron Cey. So there's 1 out in the 9th inning. The batter is Russell, the shortstop, who's had 1 base hit. Dodgers have a pinch hitter on deck. One of many they have who can hit. That's Manny Mota.
Now they're standing on the Oakland A's dugout steps. Jackson moving Claudell Washington in more shallow in right field.
Sal Bando asked for time from the umpire. Sal can't get Claudell Washington's attention. Everybody in the ballpark, I think, knows they're trying to get hold of him but him. Ground ball to Dick Green. Goes to second. They got him there. Over to first. Got a pair, and it's all over. Dick Green to Bert Campaneris to Jim Holt.
Boy, he started 3 double plays tonight. He took 2 line drives, turned them into double plays. Dick Green, scouting report on him was that he wasn't supposed to be a very good second baseman. He played brilliantly tonight.
And it brings out the brilliant pennants of the A's owner and Miss California. Lucy Ann Buchanan is standing there, and the people in Southern California have got to wonder how Miss California can be biased. Well, it was quite a ball game. 3-2 for the 3rd game in a row, and everybody said this series was going to be an even series, Kurt. Well, it can't be much more even than that. We'll be back in just 1 minute.
Jim Hunter's the winner. He's 4-0 now in World Series competition. Al Downing the loser. Fingers gets the save. Our 3rd consecutive 1-run game. All final scores 3-2. And in each game, the losing team came on strong with a rally in the 9th inning that just fell short. Tomorrow night is going to be Don Sutton pitching for the Dodgers. Check that, Messersmith for the Dodgers and Holtzman for the A's. So we bid you good night from the Oakland Coliseum. Game 3 of the '74 World Series has been brought to you by the Gillette Track 2 shaving system. It's the closest thing to a perfect shave. And by your Chrysler Plymouth dealers, who invite you to see Cordoba, the new small Chrysler. Tomorrow night, World Series game number 4 from Oakland, preceded by the baseball world of Joe Garagiola, right here on NBC.